In the heart of a land steeped in mystery stands a place wrapped in legend and prophecy, whispered about by those daring enough to believe in the supernatural. Its ancient walls and hidden chambers have resisted every attempt to unlock their secrets, destined to remain sealed until the appointed time, the second coming of Jesus. Many have tried and failed to uncover its true purpose, for its significance is meant to be revealed only at the right moment. Could the Eastern Gate, sealed for centuries, be on the brink of opening, signaling the return of Jesus himself? This is no ordinary event. Prophecies long thought impossible now seem to align before our very eyes. The sealed gateons, a silent symbol of divine mystery, stands like a sentinel at the edge of time, waiting for the hour when prophecy and reality converge. Is this the moment the faithful have awaited for generations? Or is it a harbinger that the end times have come, an ominous sign that history's final chapter is upon us? The answer lies just beyond the stone wall. Are you ready to face what's on the other side? There's a gate on the eastern wall of Jerusalem that hasn't opened in nearly 5 centuries. The Eastern Gate, also known as the Golden Gate, the Gate of Mercy. For Jews, it symbolizes the arrival of the Messiah who will enter Jerusalem through this very portal. Christians revere it as the passage through which Jesus entered the city on Palm Sunday, fulfilling Zechariah's prophecy. And Muslims regard it as a sacred threshold, linking their own eschatological beliefs to the final judgment. Its significance transcends faiths, weaving a tapestry of expectation and tension that stretches across centuries. Sealed since 1541 by the command of Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, the gate's arches have been bricked up, its passage blocked by stone and legend alike. Suleiman's decree wasn't just a matter of fortification, it was a strategic and symbolic act, one that echoed through the corridors of faith. Facing the Mount of Olives, this gate stands as a tangible link to Zechariah 14:4. On that day his feet shall stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem. The faithful believe that on that day, the Messiah's triumphal entry will shatter the walls and open the way for divine deliverance. The Eastern Gate's history is a saga of construction, destruction, and closure. Originally built during the Byzantine era and possibly rebuilt during the Umayyad period, it has faced the ravages of empires and crusades. Saladin, after recapturing Jerusalem in the 12th century, reportedly sealed it to prevent any Christian Messiah from entering. Yet it was Suleiman's sealing that solidified its prophetic aura closure, that believers hold as a key sign of God's plan. In modern times, the gate's sealed stones have become a flashpoint of controversy. In 2003, Israeli authorities closed the inner side of the gate, citing security concerns and unauthorized excavation activities. Then, in 2019, the Jordanian Waqf, who oversees the Temple Mount, reopened the area for Muslim prayer, igniting fierce debate and protests from various religious communities. This tension underscores the gate's profound significance. It is not merely a relic of history, but a living symbol of faith and prophecy. According to Ezekiel 44, the Eastern Gate shall remain shut, it shall not be opened, and no one shall enter by it, for the Lord, the God of Israel, has entered by it. For many believers, this gate's closure is a divine seal, a promise that only the Messiah can break. Revelation 9:14 adds a chilling layer, linking gates and angelic forces to the final judgment. Today, social media buzzes with rumors and videos claiming the gate has shifted or cracked open, stirring a modern-day pilgrimage and fueling speculation. Religious leaders are divided. Some call it a sign of the times, others urge caution against false miracles. Yet one thing is undeniable. The Eastern Gate stands at the crossroads of history, faith, and destiny, waiting for the moment when stone yields to prophecy. The air around Jerusalem felt charged, as if the city itself was holding its breath. Something ancient, something sacred, something terrifying was stirring near the Eastern Gate, a structure that had remained sealed for centuries, its stone walls silent witnesses to generations of prayers and wars, prophecies and betrayals. But on this day, the silence was shattered. Eyewitness accounts began trickling in, first as whispers, then as desperate cries carried on the wind. Some claimed they saw the gate shift, if only slightly, as though pushed by an unseen force. Others spoke of strange sounds, deep trumpet-like blasts that seemed to echo from beneath the ancient stones themselves. "It was like the earth was crying out," said one pilgrim, his voice trembling as he recounted the moment. "The sound came from everywhere and nowhere, rattling in our chests like a judgment." A group of pilgrims, gathered at the base of the Mount of Olives, had been singing hymns when the phenomenon began. One of them, a woman from Italy, described how a sudden wind swept through the crowd, lifting her veil and sending it fluttering towards the gate. "It felt like the air itself had come alive," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. "And then, I saw it. The light like it was coming from inside the gate, seeping through the cracks in the old stones." She wasn't alone. Dozens of others testified to witnessing a glow faint at first, then growing brighter as if something or someone was about to step through the veil of time itself. One young man from Jerusalem, clutching a small cross, spoke of a white dove that suddenly appeared overhead. "It circled the gate 3 times, he said. "It wasn't just a bird, it felt like a sign, like a messenger." The stories spread like wildfire, carried on the tongues of the faithful and the curious alike. Pilgrims poured into the old city from every direction, drawn by a force they couldn't name, their steps echoing on ancient cobblestones that had seen so many armies and prophets pass. Some came to pray, others to witness, but all felt the same: a sense of awe, of dread, of wonder. Within the hush of the gathering crowd, scents of incense drifted from small altars and makeshift shrines that had sprung up overnight. Flickering candles lined the path to the gate, their flames dancing in the cool night air. The smoke twisted into strange shapes, casting shadows that danced along the walls, as if the very stones were alive, telling their own stories in a language older than time. A priest from Greece stood before the gate, his hands trembling as he lifted them towards the ancient stone. "Lord," he whispered, his voice hoarse with emotion, "is this your sign? Is this the moment we have waited for?" Nearby, a woman whose face bore the lines of countless prayers pressed her palms against the cold stone. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she murmured, "I felt him. I felt the Messiah's presence." Even the skeptics found themselves unable to dismiss what was happening. A local archaeologist, known for his disdain for religious fervor, admitted he had felt something he couldn't explain. "It was like the air changed," he said, his eyes darting nervously towards the gate. "I don't know what it was. I just know I've never felt anything like it before." Sent to cover what he assumed would be yet another false alarm, a journalist found himself frozen as the phenomenon unfolded. He described hearing a low hum that rose to a roaring, unnatural sound that made the ground itself vibrate. "I've covered wars, protests, everything," he said later. "But this was different. It was like the world was holding its breath." And then came the light. It started as a faint glow, a pale halo that seemed to leak from the cracks between the ancient stones. Slowly, it grew brighter, illuminating the faces of the crowd. Some fell to their knees, others reached out as if to touch it. The light pulsed with an otherworldly rhythm, each wave bringing a sense of peace and terror all at once. One pilgrim described it as a promise, like a divine assurance waiting to be fulfilled. "It was like the gate itself was alive," he said, "like it was waiting for someone or something." White doves appeared overhead, their wings catching the light in flashes of purest white. They hovered above the crowd, their presence a silent testament to the sacredness of the moment. Some said they heard a voice, a soft, almost imperceptible, carried on the wind, whispering words of comfort and warning. "Prepare," it seemed to say, "the time is near." The chanting grew louder as more people gathered, their voices blending into a single song that seemed to resonate with the stones themselves. "Hosanna," they sang. "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." A hush fell over the crowd as the light reached its brightest point. The glow spilled out into the night, casting an ethereal radiance on the walls and the faces of the faithful. The air trembled with anticipation, every breath a prayer, every heartbeat a question. The gate itself stood silent, its ancient stones weathered by time and conflict. Yet in that silence there was a presence, a feeling that something monumental was about to happen. The light slowly began to fade, but the sense of awe remained, clinging to the hearts of all who had witnessed it. People lingered long after the glow had vanished, reluctant to leave the place where heaven seemed to have brushed the earth. Candles continued to burn, their wax pooling like tears on the ancient ground. The scent of incense hung heavy in the air, mingling with the prayers that rose like smoke towards the sky. A priest finally broke the silence, his voice trembling. "My brothers and sisters," he said, "what we have seen tonight is no mere accident. This is a sign that the time is at hand, that we must prepare our hearts, that we must be ready." Around him, people nodded, some weeping openly, others staring at the gate as if willing it to open. A sense of destiny filled the air, a knowledge that what had been witnessed could not be undone. The ancient stones of the eastern gate seemed to hold their own secret, a promise that one day the Messiah would return and enter Jerusalem in glory. And for those who stood there that night, the lines between myth and reality, prophecy and present, blurred in the glow of that mysterious light. A pilgrim, his face shining with tears, turned to the camera crew filming the event. "Tell the world," he said, "tell them to be ready, because he is coming." As the night wore on and the crowd slowly dispersed, the memory of that evening remained etched into the hearts of all who had stood in the presence of something divine, something ancient, something that defied explanation. And in that memory, the Eastern Gate waited silent, sealed, and ready, waiting for the one who would open it at last. As the mysterious phenomenon unfolded around the Eastern Gate, the words of the prophet seemed to come alive, echoing through the centuries and into the present moment. According to Ezekiel 44:2, the prophet records God's command. "This gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, and no one shall enter by it, for the Lord, the God of Israel, has entered through it." This ancient decree set the Eastern Gate apart, sealing it until the day the Messiah would return, a day many believe may now be at hand. Standing directly opposite the Mount of Olives, the Eastern Gate aligns with another powerful prophecy. Zechariah 14:4 declares, "His feet shall stand on the Mount of Olives." This verse points to a day when the Messiah will descend to Jerusalem in triumph, signaling the culmination of God's redemptive plan. The significance of the Eastern Gate facing this holy mountain cannot be overstated, as it is believed by many to be the very path the Messiah will take when he returns to establish his kingdom. In the New Testament, Jesus himself spoke of his glorious return. Matthew 24:30-31 records his words, "Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory." This promise resonates deeply with those who stand before the sealed gate, wondering if the recent signs saw mysterious light, trumpet-like sounds, and inexplicable vibrations are heralds of that glorious event. Jewish tradition holds that the Messiah will enter Jerusalem through the Eastern Gate, fulfilling the promise of ultimate redemption. This belief is so strong that when Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent ordered the gate sealed in 1541, many saw it as a direct challenge to divine prophecy. Yet the faithful have long believed that no earthly power can thwart God's plan, that when the Messiah comes, no stones or walls will hold him back. The recent reports of earthquakes shaking Jerusalem, strange trumpet sounds echoing through the night sky, and the appearance of blood moons have only intensified the sense that prophecy is unfolding before our eyes. Could these be the very signs Jesus warned about in Matthew 24:24, cautioning his followers to beware of false prophets and deceptive wonders designed to lead even the elect astray? The question hangs heavy in the air: is this the work of the Antichrist, or is it the fulfillment of God's promise? Throughout Christian history, the Eastern Gate has held profound significance. According to Matthew 21, Jesus entered Jerusalem through a gate near this location on Palm Sunday, hailed as the King of Israel. That triumphal entry foreshadowed his return in glory. As we stand on the threshold of history, the ancient prophecies seem more relevant than ever, challenging believers to discern the times and remain steadfast in faith. The moment news of the phenomenon at the Eastern Gate spread, the city of Jerusalem became a tapestry of conflicting emotions and responses. Locals, accustomed to the rhythm of daily prayers and the occasional tourist, now found themselves at the epicenter of a potential fulfillment of prophecy. Some gathered at the site, eyes wide with awe, clutching rosaries and crosses, unable to contain the tremble in their voices as they whispered, "It's happening. He's coming." Their hope was tangible, woven with centuries of anticipation and devotion. Yet, not all felt comforted. A group of elderly residents who had witnessed many uprisings and deceptions over the decades stood a few paces back, their faces creased with worry. "We must be careful," one of them muttered, eyes scanning the gathering crowds. "The Lord warned us of false prophets, of signs that would deceive even the faithful." Their caution found voice in the pages of Matthew 24. "For false Christs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect." These words echoed in the minds of many, a reminder that even the most dazzling sign must be tested against the Scriptures. Religious leaders found themselves divided, their sermons and statements reflecting the same tension that gripped the city. Some pastors and priests stood before their congregations with trembling hands, declaring that the light at the gate and the trumpet sounds were undeniable evidence that the time of Jesus' return was near. "The sealed gate is his sign," one pastor thundered to his flock. "The Lord is coming, and no wall or stone can stand in his way." His words brought tears to some, an urgent call to prepare their hearts and lives. But not all agreed. Other religious leaders urged caution, their voices calm yet firm. "Brothers and sisters," one rabbi counseled, "remember the words of Paul in 2 Corinthians 11:14. For Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. We must not be led by our emotions alone. Every sign must be tested by the word of God." His reminder cast a shadow of doubt among those who had been ready to declare the return of the Messiah at hand. Governments and archaeologists offered a more measured, though often frustratingly vague, response. An official from the Israeli Antiquities Authority, speaking at a hastily called press conference, shrugged as he fielded questions from international reporters. "There is no evidence of any structural movement at the gate," he said, adjusting his glasses. "It's a sealed structure that has stood for centuries. Any perceived motion could be due to natural settling of the stones or minor seismic activity." Yet when pressed further, he hesitated. "That said," he continued cautiously, "there are reports we cannot fully explain." His words did little to calm the growing sense of wonder or dread. Archaeologists themselves were hesitant to dismiss the phenomenon outright. "We've seen cracks in ancient stones before," one admitted, "but this feels different." He spoke of the crowd's reaction, of the light that seemed to glow from within the sealed gate, and of the sense of something otherworldly. "I'm a scientist," he concluded, "but even I have to admit there are things happening here that I can't fully understand." Meanwhile, social media ignite. Videos and photos, some shaky, some eerily clear, flooded every platform. Influencers and pastors alike posted their reactions, fueling debates that stretched from Jerusalem to the farthest corners of the earth. Some urged believers to gather at the gate in prayer, to prepare for the Lord's coming. Others, more cynical, dismissed the entire phenomenon as a hoax or a social media stunt designed to draw attention and clicks. In the midst of the digital storm, theologians from various traditions began weighing in. Some saw the event as a powerful confirmation of prophesying undeniable sign that believers should strengthen their faith and look heavenward with hope. Others, however, took a more cautious approach, warning that the real test was one of discernment. "We must ask ourselves," one theologian wrote in a widely shared post, "is this light from Godor? Is it a snare of the enemy, designed to test and tempt us?" He quoted Matthew 24 and 2 Corinthians 11:14, challenging the faithful to remain vigilant, testing every spirit and every sign. In the end, the phenomenon at the Eastern Gate revealed not just a possible sign of the end times, but also the deep divisions and hopes within the human heart. For some, it was the ultimate proof that the Messiah was at the door. For others, it was a reminder of the need for caution and spiritual discernment. But for all who saw the light or heard the trumpet, it was a moment that demanded a response that would shape their faith and their future. As the echoes of the Eastern Gate phenomenon spread across Jerusalem, a simultaneous awakening was unfolding in different corners of the world. It was as if the ancient prophecies were not confined to a single city or a single people, but were converging in a global carousel reminder that the final chapter of humanity's story would not be written in isolation. Reports began to surface from the United States and Europe of strange, unexplained sounds reverberating through the skies. Witnesses in small Midwestern towns spoke of deep, trumpet-like blasts that rattled windows and set dogs howling into the night. In France, villagers near Lyon described a hum that rose from the ground itself, like a vibration from the Earth's core. The sounds defied explanation. Scientists, scrambling for answers, blamed everything from shifting tectonic plates to atmospheric disturbances. Yet, in the hushed conversations of believers, another possibility loomed larger. Were these the same trumpet sounds spoken of in Revelation 9, signaling that the end of days was at hand? Meanwhile, the blood moons cast their crimson glow over cities and countrysides alike. From the beaches of California to the ancient cathedrals of Rome, people gathered to watch the heavens turn an ominous shade of red. Astronomers explained it away as a natural phenomenon, a simple interplay of light and shadow. But for many, the sight was a chilling reminder of Joel 2:31. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes. The symbolism was too powerful to ignore a cosmic signpost pointing toward a destiny already written in the pages of Scripture. Even the rivers themselves seemed to participate in the unfolding drama. The Euphrates, that ancient cradle of civilization, has been drying up at an alarming rate, a phenomenon confirmed by scientists, but foreshadowed by prophecy. Revelation 16:12 speaks of the great river drying up to prepare the way for the kings of the east, a final prelude to the gathering of nations for the battle at Armageddon. Videos from local villagers in Iraq and Syria showed parched riverbeds littered with ancient artifacts, unearthed after centuries hidden beneath the waters. Gold coins, ancient chains, and even skeletal remains surfaced, as if the earth itself was giving up its secrets in preparation for a final reckoning. And then there were the earthquakes, the wars, and the rising tide of societal unrest. From the trembling ground beneath Turkey's cities to the political upheavals shaking Europe and North America, the world seemed caught in a relentless cycle of conflict and calamity. Jesus warned of this in Matthew 24:6-8. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Those birth pains were now being felt in every corner of the globe, a visceral reminder that humanity stood at the threshold of something momentous. In the midst of these global convulsions, voices of faith rose up, calling for spiritual vigilance and unity. Pastors, priests, and ordinary believers gathered online and in person to share their experiences and their fears. These signs, one preacher in Texas declared, remind us of Jesus' call to be ready at all times. We cannot afford to be complacent. We must watch, we must pray, and we must be ready to stand when the darkness comes. In South America, small home churches met in secret, reading passages from Matthew and Revelation by candlelight. In Africa, believers lifted their hands toward the sky, their voices a blend of joy and sorrow as they sang songs of deliverance. Even in the bustling metropolises of Asia, underground gatherings found solace in the Word, their faith undeterred by government crackdowns or societal scorn. Social media became a digital pulpit, a global meeting place for those seeking answers. Videos of the Eastern Gate's light, sometimes grainy, sometimes crystal clear, were shared and reshared, each accompanied by hashtags like End Times, Messiah Return, and Signs of the Times. Blogs and forums buzzed with speculation and fervor, dissecting every detail of the sounds, the light, and the shaking earth. Amid the noise, voices of caution reminded the faithful of Jesus' warning, "Take heed that no one deceives you." Matthew 24:4. Yet even the skeptics could not dismiss the growing sense that something had shifted in the spiritual atmosphere of the world. In Israel, the phenomenon at the Eastern Gate became a magnet for international pilgrims. Tour buses crowded the roads, their passengers eager to stand where prophecy might be unfolding. Journalists from around the world jostled for interviews, their cameras capturing tearful testimonies from believers who had felt the presence of the Messiah in the glow of the gate. Yet even among the curious, a sense of reverence pervaded the era, recognition that what